Okay, so good morning, everyone. My name is Vimal Pal, and I am the solution architect with the cloud.in. And okay, so before we start, it's better if you can confirm if I am audible and you can hear me loud and clear. Okay, so I hope I am audible to everyone. Okay, so good morning, everyone. My name is Vimal Pal, and I am the cloud solution architect with the cloud.in. And first of all, I would like to uh, thank you everyone for joining today's webinar. So today we are going to discuss and deep dive on the concept of data perimeter in AWS, right? And what are the nitty-gritties for data perimeter implementation and why it is required in today's landscape where the data being very crucial point, right? So what are the best practices and what services are there to explore the providing the security layer for the data perimeter, right? So before going forward with the presentation, I would like to highlight few things that by default all of you are muted, and you cannot unmute yourself throughout the session. Though in terms of like if you have any doubts during the session, we've scheduled a Q&A session at the end of this webinar. What you can do, you can raise your electronic hand, and you can grab the speaker's attention, and your all the questions will be answered, right? So I hope we are now good to go with our today's presentation. So once again, I welcome you all, and thank you for joining us today for this webinar for building a data perimeter in AWS with the help of Amazon Macie, GuardDuty, and the Access Analyzer. Okay. Okay, so before jumping dive to the our content, just let me just give a brief about my company. So the cloud.in, we are 26 old year organization, and we have two active locations. One is Pune, which is our headquarters, and the other one is Mumbai, and we have a field force of 75 plus employees. And if you look at the credentials, so we have done migrations over 130 plus. 100% certified resources, 250 plus cloud workload, and if we provide NOC support 24/7 to our other clients. And if you look at our services, so we have the expertise in the migration and implementation, and we are the MSP partner, and we provide the consulting and advisory. So you can just look at all the services which we provide, like CDN, the cost optimization, and generative AI. Right? Okay, so just deep dive today's agenda. So it's a pretty clear and pretty crisp that we are going to discuss about the data perimeter, the concept and working, and what are the tools and how can we implement data perimeter in our AWS account, maybe all the resources or all the and how we have set up our AWS environment along with our data center, right? And again, we're going to discuss the services like GuardDuty, Amazon Macie, and IAM Access Analyzer. And we are also going to see that how Security Hub can integrate all those services, where we get the comprehensive view of all those services. Right? So data perimeter, if we talk about, so so basically there are two terms you can see here. The one is the data and the other one is the perimeter. And I hope we all are aware about what data is and why data being the thing which everyone is talked about in be it a small workload or maybe the big workload. Data you can consider is a data is a new currency, right? Every company is concerned about that their data. right? Every company wants to secure their data, right? And I mean, that's the obvious reason why data being secured is everyone's priority, right? And the other term you can see here is a perimeter. So what is a perimeter? So perimeter, you can understand, it is like a boundary. It is like a, that safety area, or you can consider it as a zone of trust, which clearly tells that inside that perimeter, your every resource, your every services is secured and safe, right? Uh, and if you look at go by the definition, so and set this is a set of permission guardrail within your AWS or environment, right? So how we can protect our resources within the perimeter? uh, it is pretty straightforward. There are certain permission boundary, and there are the guardrail, there are the parameters how you can implement the security layer within your perimeter, right? And what are the trade-off, right, for creating a perimeter and providing the security among your all? So basically the three things we are gonna discuss here. The one is the identities, the other one is the resource, right, and the third one is the network. So these three things we would be highlighting more in this concept, and this is going to be very important to understand. So just whenever you are connecting your so whatsoever is this point, you just keep in your mind three things: the identity, resource, and the network, right? So again, the only trusted identities access trusted resources. What does it mean? It means only those users are allowed who are having the right credentials, right? So this is based on the principle of least privilege, right? So creating data perimeter ensures we are providing the access only to those who are legitimate users, maybe, and they are right person to connect to the right resources which they are actually required. So all these things we are going to see here going forward, right? So guardrail ensures policy enforcement across all AWS accounts. So again, if the environment is small, right, so you won't see that much of this thing where we are discussing data perimeter and everything in quite often. But if you have organization of like enterprise level, and let's say it's a banking or like any fintech or maybe e-com, right? So their by default their organization is that vast or that big. It is very it becomes very complicated to handle all those permissions and users access pattern, which traffic is legitimate, which is not. So again, it becomes a hurdle, right? So there comes a concept of like organization. So how can you implement all those things into the organization level? So there are the option for like data perimeter guardrails implementation, where we can enforce security standards, and we can apply to all IAM users role and resources, and guardrails aligning with the AWS 12 architect security principle. Again, so basically all the things are designed as per the best practices which AWS advocates, right? So I know this is a pretty much complex, so I took a little more time on this particular slides. Okay, so going forward, so how all these things work, right? So as I mentioned earlier, there are three things we are gonna discuss. The one is identity, other one is resource, and the third one is a network. So what is the identity first? So identity is regarding the users or any particular role, right? So suppose there is a one person. If there is a one person whom we are giving IAM, we are creating him an IAM user with certain permission and the policies, right? And we are allowing that particular person to access some resource. And again, there are the second policy which will be enforced, that would be resource based policy. And the third one is network. So network, why we are discussing, we are here to check whether that request is coming from the legitimate network or not, right? We will see that how it is going to work going forward. The three things we will discuss here, the one is the service control policy, the other one is the resource control policy, and the third one, the VPC endpoint policy, right? So what is the trade-off? Why we are doing this, right? So the answer is pretty straightforward, that building the corporate boundary, restrict access to sensitive data based on expected access pattern, then provide developer freedom, meet compliance requirement, and defense in depth. So I guess these are quite uh, simple, easy to understand for you, that why we are discussing this. And then again, what is the primary tool for your data perimeter, right? So service control policies. So basically, these are the permission guardrail for identities. As I mentioned earlier, that we are going to provide certain permission to certain users and the services. You can consider it as a principle which we see in the AWS workload, right? So these are the permission boundaries given to any user, right? And the other one is VPC endpoint policy. VPC endpoint policy is kind of the another kind of resource-based policy, right? But here we are seeing that resource-based policy is going or routed via the VPC endpoint, right? So there are the examples in another slide, so you can understand this more easily with looking at with all those slides. Resource-based policy, again, here we are providing in the policy on a resource base. Suppose there is a one developer and we are providing him the resource-based policy that he can only access certain S3 bucket, right? So again, he cannot access any other S3 bucket which is not provided access to that particular developer, right? So these are resource-based policies. So again, this comes in the principle of least privilege, right? And data perimeter control. So you can see that what is the intent and control objective. Identity, only trusted identity can access any resource, and only trusted identities are allowed from my network. So I mean, this is all text based. You can just have a look, and we can see this in the further slide, that how does it actually look. Okay, so here we can see on the left is a JSON policy, and the right side is a diagram, right? So looking at the JSON policy, we see that what is this policy is telling. So this is effect is deny principle to all. So basically, we are denying to everyone, every principal, maybe user or service. And what are the actions which are denied? We cannot list, port, and get object in S3 bucket. And what are the resources? My data bucket also. Okay, so that S3 bucket which is mentioned, and condition string not equal to principal organization ID. Okay, so what is happening here is if everything would be denied, right? Every action would be denied. What are the mentioned here, like list, put, and get object, if it doesn't meet the string which is the organizational ID. And what is the organizational ID? So that is AWS cloud, right? So if you look at the server or maybe the machine below this AWS box, you can see that non-corporate credentials. So basically what it tells, this non-corporate credential does not meet this condition which tells it has to meet the principal organization ID, right? So that means we are creating the network base, or maybe identity parameter on resource, that it is coming from the unauthenticated or uh, invalid we can say that the network, right, which is not permitted by our policy. So someone is having credentials, so we cannot access the S3 bucket which are there in the AWS account. So as simple as that. You can see that there is a one customer VPC, security and audit. So the other, everyone who is there, who is connecting from the VPC to the S3 bucket, they can very well access the S3 bucket via the S3 VPC endpoint. So you can see that the green arrow, so that tells that all the permission which is imposed, so that are meeting, that meets all the requirement, all the policy which is there. So that is why they can very well access the log as the log bucket, right? Okay, so going forward, another example, identity parameter on network, right? Now we see the statement action, allow everyone, resource, principal, AWS condition. Again, so what it is showing, it needs to allow everyone, condition string equal to principal, organization ID. So basically, organizational ID, if it is if the principal ID is equal, is meeting the whatever is there in the policy, if it is matching, then it can provide the access, right? But if we see here, organization ID is okay, right? But if you see the non-corporate credential are being used, so that is the reason, even if the account, the corporate ID is matching, but again they are using the non-corporate credentials, so that is why they are not having the access to the SPSQ. Okay, so again, these are the few more example. If you look at this, the corporate credentials are pretty much certified or maybe the legitimate, so that is the reason the first VPC, the VPC above, in the above box, you can see it can very well access the SPSQ, but looking at the second one, which is a non-corporate AWS account, it does not have that permission, right? So idea here is we need to implement all those service policy according to our use case. We should take care of that while we are designing our perimeter, right? So these are the another example. You can, if you go to the policy document and then what it is, how the resources are getting permission to access the services, you can see here. And again, a network perimeter on resource. So basically, what corporate network and the other which is off corporate network, which is again is illegitimate. Even if they are having the corporate credential, they cannot access the S3 bucket which is there on the AWS account, right? And this is the JSON policy document. So basically, the idea of giving you this, why we are discussing this, that this is a pretty much important to understand that why the network identity and resources are pretty much important, and how we need to take care of that security perimeter, right? And these are the feature which we just discussed, right? Identity, resource, and network. So what is the intent and where it is being applied, and where they are being used, right? Okay, so I mean, these are all the text basis. So I guess all of you now have the understanding then why it is important and what is the importance of considering the where your corporate data is being stored, or maybe how you are managing your identities, how you want to secure your resources, and then why network security is important, right? So these are the few practices which you can take in your account. Okay, so now we are going to discuss Amazon GuardDuty, right? So GuardDuty basically, I guess like most of you might be knowing what is the GuardDuty, and what is the trade-off, what's the benefit of the GuardDuty, right? So as we know that GuardDuty is the security services, which basically the AI ML based. So it is a intelligent threat detection security service, which which provides, which basically continuously scans the EC2 based like monitoring, like there's a continuous monitoring of the server, and like few points like VPC DNS logs, or maybe the CloudTrail API logs, right? So all these things are pretty much important, and GuardDuty work again in the that fashion only, right? And apart from VPC flow log, CloudTrail logs, and the DNS logs, also the GuardDuty takes care of, right? So if we can see that there's a threat detection service continuously monitors AWS account workload and the data for malicious activity, right? So why it is important? Because suppose there is a anyone got the credentials, right, or corporate credential outside your network, and he's trying to he's trying to do any in kind of any suspicious activity you want to perform, right? Then how would you know that? So there is this service which would be continuously monitoring that pattern, how someone is trying to get access, right? And on a VPC flow log level, right, or any illegitimate API activity happened with your resources, then you will get the notification, right? So actionable insight you will get, and you can take the action according to that, right? And if you look at this service, so it pretty well it integrates with the AWS Security Hub and Event Bridge and the Lambda for automated remediation. So how it works? So basically, it continuously monitors AWS account, and it checks for the malicious activity which can be found in your as a security vulnerability uh, in your account, right? So we can see here Amazon GuardDuty, like activate GuardDuty. You can enable GuardDuty in your account with a few clicks, right? And all the things it is going to we inspect. The Amazon S3 databases, container workload, instance workload, accounts, and user or maybe serverless workloads. So, right. And if you look at the final the point where when remediation is required, so it can be integrated with the event bridge, and then Lambda we can configure to take the or maybe the remediate the action, right, according to the any vulnerability found. And GuardDuty for AWS workload protection. So basically, as I showed in the previous slide, that what are the areas where we can use the GuardDuty. So the first is S3 protection, then Kubernetes, Elastic Kubernetes service protection, then the runtime monitoring, and GuardDuty malware protection for Amazon EC2. So these are the area where we can take the expertise of the GuardDuty, right? And what are the use cases? Again, that detect suspicious multi-stage security threats, accelerate investigation, automate remediation, and protect against ransomware and the types of malware. The most easily meet compliance like PCI DSS, the centralized threat detection for AWS container, right? Okay, so again, GuardDuty intelligent threat discovery, so that we've already seen. So cloud data input includes CloudTrail event logs, unusual API call, unauthorized deployment, CloudTrail management event, where to create. Okay, so it monitors like both, whether it is a management event or maybe it's a data event, right? So idea is if you are creating any resources, be it any VPC or maybe any a security group, right? Or it is there is any data event is being happening, like getting object list or detecting get list or delete object, right? So it is going to log each and every API activity related to the management event and the data event. And again, the VPC flow log, unusual internal traffic, unusual IP address, if it monitors. So again, it is going to provide the notification, or it is going to alert for that. All right, and the DNS logs compromise EC2 instance sending encoded data with the DNS queries. So again, it keeps tracks on the DNS logs as well, right? If any machine is which is out of your network, right, and then if the DNS, so that API activity can be found as a DNS logs. Okay, so and optional feature EKS audit log, RDS, Aurora, ABS, Lambda, S3, and data event. These are the services where you can integrate, or you can maybe check the vulnerability scan of all those services. And again, if you want to create a mitigation with the help of for this GuardDuty, there are the service called Event Bridge. You can set up the Lambda, and accordingly you can create, or suppose there is you want to you see there is any port is open, if you want to change the security group that very well can be performed with the Lambda deployment, right? Okay, so and the one of the important thing that it can protect against cryptocurrency attack, right? It has a dedicated finding for it. So this is the one of the better option if as we know that cryptocurrency attack, right? So basically when there is a any blockchain related activities happening, right? So it has the dedicated finding for that as well, right? So that also can be tracked and monitored in the Amazon GuardDuty. So so for that also Amazon provides GuardDuty as a very prompt service. Okay, so Amazon Guard Duty, as we just saw that VPC flow log, CloudTrail logs, and DNS logs, and they're optional. So whatever we discussed in the previous slides, so we can have that uh, uh, in a graphic or maybe the diagrammatic view that all these features are services are all the logs are we can see in the AWS Guard Duty, and then that can be integrated with the event bridge, and then again we can send a notification, or for remediation we can use the AWS Lambda. All right, so from finding and to the remediation, everything is possible with the GuardDuty, right? And the multi-account strategy, so suppose you have the multiple accounts, so how you can use the GuardDuty. So again, you can very well integrate your your multiple accounts, and you are going to have that Amazon GuardDuty integrated with that account, and have all the vulnerabilities, all the insights, all the details, get inside your GuardDuty, and you can manage that according to you. So add or definitely there's a provision adding or removing the account members, right? And there are the proper document if you want to create a multi-account strategy. That is also possible with the Amazon GuardDuty. Okay, so you can see here GuardDuty delegated administrator account. What we are doing here, there are the different account. We can see that account A, B, C, and D. Okay, so all can be managed under the one service GuardDuty. So that's pretty much possible, and it is suggested by AWS, and we also tell our partners, maybe the customers, clients, that better to have the GuardDuty for your multiple, if you have the multiple accounts, so it becomes easier to manage, or maybe having the findings for the VPC flow logs, CloudTrail, or DNS logs, right? Okay, so again, we just saw that how we can remediate it with the help of Event Bridge, right? Okay, so finding, okay, so what are the pattern, what types of findings are there? So we just saw that it provides the different finding for the blockchain or maybe cryptocurrency related attack, right? So that called like a backdoor of cryptocurrency, maybe the threat purpose is mentioned here, and resource type affected, AC2, S3, and threat family name is potential malicious activity, network port, and so these are all the findings type which we can see in the Amazon GuardDuty. And these are the another finding types: unauthorized access, EC2, SSH, brute force, cryptocurrency, and I am finding type and malware protection type, so RDS, and these are the just few examples how these findings are like. Okay, so GuardDuty architecture that we've seen again. Okay, so basically this particular slide tells about the remediation part, right? And till event bridge and SNS, and then notifying the security operator within the team. And if you see in the below point what is happening, so suppose there is some VPC flow logs we are seeing with the server, which we need, where we need to update the network access control list. So how we can do that? We can set up a Lambda. We can configure a Lambda function which is gonna modify the web ACL to block the suspicious request. I mean, idea is to say first you need to isolate that, and then you have to remediate. You need to create, or you need to change the NACL rules, right? Or modify the web ACL to suspicious request in WAF. So these are pretty much important, practices which we need to perform if we are having such kind of architecture in our organization. Okay, so again, and then this is second type of example, and what is the difference basically here? So we are seeing here the network firewall endpoint, right? And the step function, it is quite, so we are step function, basically we are we are providing how we are managing the flow, check IP in database, then block the traffic, SNS stopping, then SS success or failure maybe. So again, the above one is a pretty simple, and then firewall policy you want to change with the network firewall. So basically network firewall is telling the east-west traffic, right? So suppose you have maybe the VPC, or maybe there's a firewall you are managing like network firewall. So how we can change the setting, or maybe change the policy, or change the role group in the network firewall, just to fix the this attack, that also can be done with the help of this lambda function, right? Okay, so Amazon GuardDuty trusted and threats IP list. So okay, what it does, it doesn't. Okay, so list are trusted IP list are updated, and the threat IP lists are always there. So as I told you that it is a AIML based service, so it continuously monitors if the request is coming from the IP which are not in the trust zone, right? Or maybe it is coming from a threat IP list, so it is gonna block that, right? So this is about trusted and the threat IP list. So Amazon GuardDuty take action according to that only, and on that basis is gonna generate findings. Okay, suppression rule again, basically this is about not every finding is no threat for you, for your network. So basically suppression rule is something, if you want, if you know that you are performing any particular activity, or maybe it is a pre-planned, right? So you don't want this Amazon GuardDuty is providing you alerts, so you can use the suppression rule. What is it is doing? It is not giving alarms or alerting for those particular things. So as simple as that. Troubleshooting GuardDuty didn't generate any finding types. Okay, problem GuardDuty activated but didn't generate any DNS based finding DNS log if you use default VPC. Okay, so idea here is to, if you want to use GuardDuty DNS flow log, right? So this request should be routed via the default VPC DNS. If it is not there, it is not gonna give findings. Why? Because AWS created that functions among this, internally, which is depend on the default DNS only. So best practice to enable GuardDuty even if the regions you don't use, or the default DNS should be there for DNS based findings if you want. Okay, so here comes a service. This is a second service, which is Amazon Macie. So Macie basically is a service which is basically to discover sensitive data in the S3 bucket. An idea of having this service is pretty much simple. There are a lot of transaction happens in organization, say the banking, or maybe anything, maybe the healthcare, where the data is so crucial that it should not be exposed to the in a public domain. So there are a lot of compliances are there, right? So the PCI DSS, maybe the HIPAA, right, or any the compliance related to that, where data need to be redacted, or it should not be exposed, then there we can use Amazon Macie, right? So what it does basically, again, it's a machine learning, based on machine learning algorithm, and it checks pattern, matching the discovering the and protect your sensitive data, right? So what it does basically, to redact that data, right? So no one can see, right? Okay, so confidentially remains integrated, and remains we can consider it a very confidential service, a security service, right? Okay, how how Macie is does it finding, right? To manage data infiltration, a set of built-in criteria that are designed to detect a specific type of sensitive data. Suppose credit card number, AWS credentials, bank accounts. So we can custom data identifier, again regular expression keywords, right? You can use allow list to define text pattern, ignore public phone numbers and all. So again, the industries where the data which is crucial, which is not supposed to be exposed to anyone, there we can use Amazon Macie. Okay, the finding types. So again, sensitive data may record that logs detail. So basically keeps the logs detail of all the S3, all the data which is there in the S3 bucket, and we can configure Macie to store result in S3 bucket, and then we can query using the Athena, right? So, and again, all the findings are stored for 90 days by default, and and we can for till 90 days we can see in the Macie, and then maybe we can change the pattern, right? And finding use AWS console, event based, and security hub. So basically these are the services which are integrated with this. I mean, if you use the uh, security hub, you can get the Macie's finding in the security hub, right? So again, security hub, even if it is not, we are not covering security hub service today, but again, it can very well integrate with the security hub. Okay, so what are the finding types? The sensitive data finding, that is one that we all know. But again, the policy finding is the another feature of this, like detailed reports of policy violation or issue with the security of S3 bucket. Example, default encryption is disabled or a bucket is public, right? So again, it will give the response on that particular thing also. That report policy finding can also be detected with Macie, right? And AWS Macie finding types through an AWS organization sending invitation through Macie. I mean, these are the points where we can, if there are multi-account strategy, then how can the associated members account can be can use this Macie. So that we can see here. Administrator account can add or remove member account, have access to all SA sensitive data, and setting for all the accounts, manage automated sensitive data discovery, and run data discovery job, manage data identifier and the findings. Okay, so idea here is to multi-account strategy. How can we use Macie? So we can see that here. Okay, so same as GuardDuty, Macie is also, again, we can use in a multiple account, right? So this is how it look like if you see the Macie being deployed on the multiple accounts. Okay, and the other thing, and this is going to be our last security services, which is identity access management, access analyzer, right? So this is a service which basically tells about what are the services which are under the zone of trust and which are out of that zone of trust. So by and large, it tells of what are the services or maybe what are the services or maybe resources which are out of your network, right? So if there is an external client or maybe another account, and if they are anyways connected to your network, or they are shared externally, so it is going to give that alert, right? And the finding out which resources are shared externally, maybe S3 bucket, IAM roles, KMS keys, Lambda function, and layer, SQS queues, secrets manager, and also all these resources are shared. If they are shared externally, so it is going to notify on that. So basically, it is, again, it is kind of defining a zone of trust, maybe then one single AWS account or maybe the multiple accounts. Okay, so how IAM access analyzer basically works. So validate your policy against IAM policy, against policy grammar and the best practices. Okay, general warning, security warnings, error suggestion, all these things are where the way access analyzer work. And then policy generation. It generates IAM policy based on access activity. CloudTrail logs is reviewed to generate the policy with the fine-grained permission and the appropriate action and services. Review the CloudTrail logs up to 19 days. Okay, so again, so suppose if someone some user is from your organization, if you leaves your organization, right, and if he is having the the credential administrative credential for so certain bucket, and you have not have those security boundaries, so what he can do, he can create the cross region S3 bucket, he can create another bucket with the cross-region replication, right? Or maybe he can, make such arrangement where he's, creating, he can access any service or maybe S3 bucket out of this network, right? And if you do not have those practices, then he can manipulate that the secure, or maybe he can violate that access. So how you can analyze that? So I mean, I'm access analyzer is that one service which can be used, right? Okay, so as I've been telling you that security hub, how can all these services which we just discussed, how can these be integrated and have that the consolidated view at the one particular service? So that security hub. Even if we are not discussing the security hub in detail, but again, this is a service where all these GuardDuty, maybe the Macie or access analyzer, all these things we can gather here, and then we can take the remediation action accordingly, right? So I guess that's pretty much we've covered, although all these things we covered like on a very surface level. uh, I hope you guys have now a better understanding why data perimeter is important, and why all these services which we just discussed are important, and what are the trade-off, right? And I guess we are now on our Q&A session, right? So that's now we can start Q&A. So what you can do, you can even you can ask your questions, or maybe you can unmute yourself, and then or you can just drop down your question in a window so that we can give you the, or you can raise your electronic hand so that we can take your question, and we can just answer those accordingly.
Hello.
Hello.
Yeah, I have one question.
Okay.
What if someone accidentally makes a resource public? How quickly can access analyzer detect it?
Okay, so Access Analyzer basically, as I mentioned, that it continuously monitors for resource policies, right, which are there in the account, right, that allow maybe the public and the cross-account access. So it can detect unintended access within a minute, right, enabling team to act before the data is being exposed, right? So I mean that is as per the document, but again, idea here is to there are a lot of things which we need to do, proactively, right? So what you can do, you can just you can consider it within a minute, but again, it depends on a lot many other things as well. But as per, if you go by the document and as per the at AWS, it within a minute it acts before you can expect your data to be exposed.
Okay, thank you.
Do we have any other questions? Okay, so I see the Siddhi.
Yeah. So, Vimal, my question was, how does GuardDuty help us catch, unusual activities like someone trying to access data from unknown locations?
Okay, so as you know that Guard basically is a AI ML based service, right? So AWS, how AWS has incorporated all those, the access pattern under the hood. Basically, there are a lot of algorithms are running, behind this ML-based GuardDuty service, right? And it is very intelligently, it tracks down all those activities like any anomaly detection to spot activities like login from unfamiliar geolocation, maybe the credential misuse or data exfiltration, right? So the answer is there are a lot of logics, right? And the algorithm are behind which is working for this particular service. So it flags deviation from the normal behavior pattern, and it gives you a report according to that.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so I see then Om is there. Om, can you please have share your question so that I can answer to that?
Yes, sir. My question was, can this tool work together to stop data from leaving our AWS environment? If yes, how?
Can you please come again?
Yes, sir. Can these tools work together to stop data from leaving our AWS environment? If yes, how?
Okay, okay, all right. So the answer is yes. I mean, if you see that if you go by the all the services, right? So Macie basically identifies the sensitive data, right, on the PII related data, right? So and again, the access analyzer ensures the proper access boundaries, right? If any resources are shared externally, it can act according to that. And GuardDuty detects malicious behavior. So if you see all these services are from the different domain and their roles are different, so they can very well work in a sync accord but it can very well work together. And how it can be done, again we have seen that AWS Security Hub, right? So Macie, Access Analyzer, and GuardDuty are gonna share all those findings to the one location, that is Security Hub. That is a one stop solution where we are gathering all the insights, and from there we can automate response using the event bridge and the Lambda to remediate incidents in the real time. I
Okay, sir.
uh, okay. So Ayman is there. Ayman, can you please have your question asked?
Yes, sir. Am I audible?
Yes.
Good morning, Vimal sir. I'm
Yeah. Good
Ayman
morning.
Patel, final year BTech IT student specializing in cloud and information security. First of
Okay.
all, I would like to say that this session was really insightful as cloud and security are my domain of study. This was really helpful. My question was, as someone who's working in the AWS free tier, I wanted to know how I can use these tools like GuardDuty and Macie without incurring high charges, because sometimes it happens that while trying out some new services, we accidentally click on something and then we get a huge bill. So how do I practice these tools without incurring a high
Okay.
charge?
Okay, so Aman, right? So
Yes,
Aman, I mean, if you look at, I mean, you might be aware about that how AWS, educates all the fraternity, IT fraternity, maybe the student or maybe the researchers, scholars, right? So
right.
you are the students, right, Aman?
Yes,
Okay, so I mean, in the free tier, right? I mean, a few years back, I mean, it was a concept that there was no charges for like lot of services, but going forward, but recently there are a lot of thing has been changed on the AWS side. So it's still in a free tier for like 730 hours or for a year, there are a lot of things have been changed. There's a you know there are the very few services which there is which are under this free tier, right? T2 micro is
right,
there for that. There are a few other services, but there are services which have their own charges, right? And AWS has
right,
very policy on that. So my suggestion, which is I can tell you on directly, is that if you are a student, then you can explore what are the programs AWS has for students. Maybe there is some student account sort of thing, because I've heard, I've never experienced it. You can just Google it and you can have it checked across if there are any student program where you can get the credits from AWS. and then you can leverage all those services.
All right,
Right.
sir. Thank you.
Okay, so I guess Bharat is there. Bharat, can you ask your question so that we can answer that? And Tejas is also there. Can you please can you have your question being asked so we can go
Uh,
forward?
yes, Vimal sir, thank you for this insightful session, and it was really a great session. So my question is like many teams struggles to know where like their sensitive data is stored. So how does AWS Macie can helps to solve this? So could you please explain?
Okay, so basically, Macie automatically discovers and classifies sensitive data in the Amazon S3 bucket like PII financial data using ML and the pattern matching. The idea here is, okay, so whatever data we are dealing with, right? So it has to be stored, one particular place, right? So in AWS, how it works? So all those data we input all those data into the S3 bucket, and all those data then been and we provide, I mean, we set up that S3 bucket integration with the Macie, and the Macie checks all those data for the PII related data. So it takes action according to that, and that's where your data can be safely processed for further proceedings, like whatever you are doing with your data. So now your data is pretty much clean, and you can have that confidence. Your all the crucial information is now removed from your data. So, I mean, that's the way that how AWS works with your data.
Okay, okay,
And again,
perfect. Thank you.
yeah. So,
Yes.
and if you're about your data, how it is, securely being stored in S3 bucket, then there are different policies, right? So that like data in rest, data in transit. So that also being taken care with the AWS. But having said that, there is a one concept which called the shared responsibility model, the security of cloud and security in cloud, right? So security in cloud comes under the shared responsibility where I mean users are also the same on a same responsibility to having the best practices for their data storage. Have any questions? So there's one feedback form, so that you can just give your feedbacks to this session so that we can improve the quality, or maybe as per your suggestion we can just improve our we will take your suggestion and we will try to improve our the further sessions for this. Okay, so this is a QR for feedback. What you can do, you can just scan this QR and then share your feedback